Hey, what's up guys? Make sure you stay tuned to the channel. You're not going to want to miss the next video coming up. It's my top lure picks for Lake Toho in January. Morning guys, it's Captain Eric Tilson. We are out on Lake Toho this morning. It's a nice warm 50 degrees out here. It's cold. It's winter time. We are in the first week of January, and this is going to be your January Lake Toho fishing report, or at least my opinion of it. I'm going to take a few minutes and kind of briefly explain where I think you should be looking for fish at right now, and what you should be throwing to improve your chances of success while the water temps are cold and the fish are a little bit stingy. So y'all stay tuned. I'm trying to show y'all something today. All right guys, so we're going to dive right into this fishing report. Right now, first week of January, the water temp on Lake Toho is 58 degrees starting out in the morning. Some of the warmer days and less windy days, you might see that water temperature climb up to 60, 61, maybe even 62 degrees. For these fish out here, that's winter time. There's no fish spawning in the lake right now, at least not yet. That could change in the next couple weeks. Approach a full moon and get a couple warm nights and some warm days, there will be some waves of fish that pull up and spawn. But right now, at least while it's cold and we're under an El Nino winter pattern, and we're getting hit with cold fronts every other day, they're going to be in their wintertime stuff. And I can tell you that on Lake Toho, that means deep grass. You're going to want to be fishing the deepest hydrilla that you can find. And here in a little bit, I'm going to kind of show you some examples of where I like to look for that stuff at on my contour maps, and kind of give you guys some ideas on how to target that kind of stuff if you've got Livescope, if you don't have Livescope, but kind of show you. All I'm doing is I'm using my Livescope and I'm just kind of trolling around and panning around some of these clumps of grass out here. And already this morning, I've been around some grass that didn't have a whole lot of fish in it, and I've seen some grass this morning that had a lot of fish relating to it. I can tell you most of the time on Lake Toho, if you're around thick hydrilla, it probably has fish in or around it. So, you know, if you have electronics that help you with this, like Livescope, you know, great. You can kind of use it to find some more productive areas. If not, it's not a deal breaker out here, I can tell you. Successfully fished a lot of offshore hydrilla in this lake for a lot of years without Livescope, and wait for that jet to go by. But you know, it's actually a pretty fun way to fish. Livescope really does help. I use my 360 a lot too as well to kind of stay around the edges of the grass, but I like to really use my Livescope to pinpoint holes in the hydrilla, because right now what they'll do is they'll sit in the hydrilla when they're not actively feeding, and as they become a little bit more, you know, apt to eat, they tend to start hanging out around edges of it, or they'll get in these holes. Like all the hydrilla out here, you know, as thick as it is, it's not thick all the way across as far as you can see. There's holes and there's gaps in that hydrilla. And whenever you find a really good productive hole or gap in that hydrilla, they'll pile up in that hole, and that's where they kind of mill around out and catch food. They'll, you know, eat shad or crappie or whatever it is they're feeding on this time of year. And you know, those are the places that you want to get your jerkbait out, or your worm, or your chatterbait, or your lipless, and kind of pick those holes apart. It can be a little labor intensive, but it can put some good fish in the boat real quick too. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of keep trolling across out here and just keep looking. We've already seen a couple of fish, but I haven't really seen what we're looking for just yet. And of course that water temp's 58.75 right now. That's pretty chilly for Lake Toho, but these fish are out here. They're not going anywhere. This is about as deep as they have to go. Fish on it, but never pass up an opportunity to rip a chatterbait through a good clump of grass. And that one bit it. Did not want it though. There he is. Not big. Need to start. He wanted it too. We watched him jump up on the scope and eat it. Migrate to the hardest edge of grass that is closest to the deepest water that's readily available to them. So Lake Toho doesn't have a lot of deep water in it. You know, 10 foot is pretty much about it. There's some deeper holes out here, but 10 foot's about as deep as it gets, and there is hydrola in the lake that'll grow out to that 10-foot area. And these fish will get on those hard edges, almost just like a summertime pattern. They get on those really hard edges of hydrola that get closest to that deep water, and that's what they'll relate to. You'll get a lot of fish that'll pull out of this shallower stuff out here, because as we start getting these cold fronts, that shallower water is more affected by temperature change. Rapid fluctuations in water temperature, Florida strain bass don't particularly care for, and so they'll find the deepest hard cover that they can relate to. And this is just kind of an example of what I like to look at. You know, this area up here, there's an FWC fish attractor out here that the state put in. There's a bunch of thick hydrilla out there as well. But anywhere where this deepest water relates to hard hydrilla edges, really thick hard hydrilla edges, kind of what we looked at on the Livescope there, you'll find that activity going on in areas like this. The fish will pull out onto a hard bottom where the grass isn't growing to. They'll find food to eat, and then whenever they're done feeding, they'll move back into that hydrilla and sit there until their next, you know, feed window. But guys, that's just an example of what I'm looking for. Especially in early January, you know, headed towards February, as we stay cold and the fish are still pre-spawn. Just get out there and find you some thick hydrilla in some deeper water. Get your jerk baits out, maybe punch a little bit of that hydrilla and go fishing. Probably be amazing. But yeah, guys, that's it. So you know, let me know in the comments if you guys want to see anything else. I'm thinking about doing these kind of fishing report deals each month, or I'll try to. You know, sometimes it's hard to get all this content and find the time to edit videos whenever I've got guide trips. But this one was pretty cool. Hope it helps you guys out, and maybe I'll see you guys out there on the water. See you.